This is the solution to the exercise on page 6 on your handouts of session 1. It tells you that a box contains n pens and it asks you whether 25% of these pens is less than 36. So it asks you whether 0.25 times n is smaller than 36. The first piece of information you're given is that 64 is 40% of n. That is, 64 is 0.4 times n. And the second piece of information you have is that 75% of n is 120. That is, 0.75 times n is 120. Alright. Now, let's take one step back. One thing we could do is to try to calculate n here. So we take the first piece of information, try to calculate n, and then try to find out whether 25% of n is smaller than 36. However, this is a data sufficiency question. So we just need to answer whether we have enough information to answer this question. So once we know n, you know whether 25% of n is smaller than 36. So this question can actually be rephrased as asking, what is n? Because once we know n, we know whether 25% of n is smaller than 36. Now, this first piece of information gives you an equation with just one variable, n, so we can solve for n. Since we can solve for n, we can answer this question. So we have enough information to answer the question. Same reasoning holds for the second piece of information. We have an equation from which we can determine n, and if we can determine n, we can determine whether 25% of n is smaller than 36. So we have enough information to answer this question. Therefore, your answer is going to be D. You can use either statement separately to answer your question.